Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach about parenting, good communication, and family relationship building all over the world through the lens of self-government. And in this video, I'm talking about leaderlessness and the anxiety epidemic. Many people know that we have an epidemic of anxiety that's happening right now, but what they don't know is how that is hooked to leaderlessness in families. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about our leaderlessness problem. That's a mouthful, I realize that. And I'm going to be talking about what we can do to lead out in our families to help the anxiety problems that we are facing. We are more alone than ever before in our societies. In fact, the whole digital age has made the people alone. I know that it was supposed to connect us, and in some ways it has. In fact, we can find information very fast. We can connect with people digitally very fast. But in the end, we actually are finding ourselves being alone a lot more. Alone looking at the screen, going through the content that's there, thinking about the conversations that are had online, but not really having conversations with other people. We are alone. Also, in the world of education, where parents used to be more involved with their children's education, now parents are more hands-off than ever before. Actually, we're seeing a shift in that tide with the new homeschooling movement. I'm not going to call it super new. It's been going on for a while. I've homeschooled all of my children to adulthood, so it's not super new, but it's pretty new after COVID-19. So now there's more and more people who are homeschooling their children, which is great. This is leading people to get more involved in education. But sometimes even people who are choosing to homeschool are wanting their children to be homeschooled because they don't like what's going on at the school, but they're kind of wanting to be hands-off too. So parents truly feel like they need a lot of alone time to do their thing because so many things require being alone. And quite frankly, I think we're kind of getting addicted to having alone time and being alone. We have a lot more people with social anxiety than we ever had before. This doesn't mean that it hasn't been a thing. It always has been a thing, but we've made more of a deal out of it, and I think there's a lot more people who are just choosing to have it because they don't feel comfortable in social situations, but people have often not felt comfortable in social situations. That's actually very common. It wasn't a problem, but now it is. So what we're doing is we're making a society where people are finding themselves more and more alone. The parenting is definitely a factor in this as well. Many parents are allowing children to just kind of do whatever they want to do so long as they're not breaking the law. I actually call this modern progressive parenting. I've got videos about different styles of parenting. You definitely can look at those. And I have a book that goes into great detail also about modern progressive parenting. This book here called Popular Parenting Methods, and it has a subtitle, Which One Are You and Which One Should You Be, talks about the different types of parenting that we could choose between and how we fall into certain traps in our parenting. And one of the biggest traps that people fall into is the modern progressive parenting trap that ends up leading toward more children that just are left to do whatever they want. Parents are concerned about being their child's friend, and this gives the child the opportunity to hopefully make maximum amount of choices. But at the end of the day, the child feels overwhelmed, makes oftentimes less choices, bonds less with parents and with other people, and ends up alone. That's because in the modern progressive type of parenting, the parent is not actually leading the child. And children do need to have their parents lead them. In fact, they thrive when they have leadership from their parents. And so parents need to see themselves in that leadership role. This doesn't mean that you need to be authoritarian or mean in some way in order to be a leader. It just means that you need to understand good assertive leadership with your children. When parents don't lead their children, the children are more alone. Let's see what that actually looks like. When a parent does not correct a problem that a child is having, when that child maybe does actually need correction, then the child is alone with their problem. Also, if they feel like they made a mistake but they're not sure how to fix it, they're also alone with their solution. When the child is alone in some of the basic little problems and day-to-day moments in life because the parent does not do the correction or does the correction in an aggressive way, because if you aggressively correct your child, then your child also feels distanced from you, so they also feel alone. If your child has either one of those circumstances, then the chances of your child developing increased fear, anxiety, stress, or tension goes up. And then we end up with a society where there are a lot of people that have anxiety who maybe wouldn't necessarily have anxiety if they had been parented differently. So parenting is a big factor in anxiety, as well as the digital world and many of the other things that we're part of today. And then there's just some people who have higher stress levels because that's just how they are and how they're chemically made up, or maybe their chemical levels might be a little bit off. Keeping all of that in mind, what can we do to decrease anxiety and help our children? Well, we can be the leaders for them. So I'm going to share with you some key things that you can do to better step up and lead out with your children. So we're going to talk about what it looks like to lead out, but before we do, click that subscribe button now. You're not going to want to miss the videos on this channel that talk about your relationships, the development of your children, and how to teach them self-government. So click subscribe now, and don't forget that notification bell too, so that you get notified when new videos come out. One of the best things that you can do to lead out and really bring in that leadership into the family that your children need is to teach your children their role and your role. If you're not exactly sure how to do this, I'm going to recommend this book, Roles: The Secret to Family, Business, and Social Success. So in this book, there's a family who really is not interacting very great. They've got some selfishness. They don't necessarily help each other out. And what you do is you see them understand their roles with each other, and then their relationships repair, which is so beautiful. And they start being just more effective as a family as a whole anyway. Teach your children what their role is. What is the role of 13-year-old daughter in your home? And I'm not talking about just responsibilities either, because anybody can clean a room or make a bed, or anybody could make dinner, mow the grass in the yard. Those are all things that are just responsibilities. But what does it really mean to be 13-year-old daughter? Or what does it mean to be mother or father? It's a lot deeper than a list of responsibilities. It's who you really are to each other. So learn that and teach that to your children. The next thing that you can do to emerge as a leader in your family so that you can maintain your parental authority and your children can honor your role as well as honoring their own roles is to be deliberate in your parenting. So this means that you talk more about things. In fact, talk about things that you're going to talk about in the future. Talk about talking about things. This is called meta-processing. This is the highest level of processing that you can do with your family. It's super powerful. And so if you will take time to make a plan as a family about the ways that you want to communicate together, you will be more effective. So in my Teaching Self-Government course, I actually teach 4 basic skills that a person can use to learn self-government. These are going to be skills that you are going to want to deliberately teach your children. These children's books each teach one of the 4 basic skills. So this one, London the Race Says Okay, teaches following instructions. There's a 5-step process to that. And you can learn that on some of my other videos and on my course. This one, Porter Earns a Quarter, teaches accepting no answers and criticism. Big Win for Quinn teaches accepting consequences. And this book, Paige Takes the Stage, teaches disagreeing appropriately. When a person learns these 4 basic skills, that takes care of 99% of their behavioral problems. It also helps you problem solve together. When your child learns to accept no answers, he's going to learn to look at you, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay, or ask to disagree appropriately, which is another one of his skills, and then drop the subject. So he's not going to hold on to it anymore. How wonderful is that a person can decrease anxiety deliberately by choosing to drop the subject. Also, learning things like calmness, what it means to be calm or not be calm, is going to give them the information that they need to choose to take different paths that lead them away from anxiety instead of toward it. Also, the skill disagreeing appropriately, which helps them get understood, is going to be vital for decreasing their anxiety. One of the reasons that children develop anxiety in the first place is actually because they don't feel understood and they don't know how to communicate that to parents or adult figures. So, teaching them how to disagree with you is one way to make sure that they will always know they can be understood. Another way to lead your children is by having family meetings. In my Teaching Self-Government Parenting course, I talk about 3 different meetings that we have on a weekly basis as a family. One of those meetings is a family meeting. Each person in the family gets an opportunity to lead that family meeting. And everyone gets to take votes and discuss the different pieces of legislation that the family is doing for solving problems in the family. How awesome is that you give them an opportunity to lead by teaching them how to lead a meeting? That's great leadership in and of itself. You've got to pass on the leadership to them at some point, so this is now a training ground for them. Your home is the perfect place for them to learn to be the next generation of leaders, and family meetings will be one of those things that helps them take ownership of their future progression. Another thing that parents can do to help their children decrease anxiety and to step out as leaders is to invite the children to have adult experiences. So many times, parents do their thing and children and youth do their thing, but they don't come together and do things together. The children need deliberate training from their parents. Invite your children to come and do activities with you on a regular basis. When my oldest son was 10, my husband and my son started singing barbershop every Tuesday night. So they would get together and they would sing on Tuesday nights. Me and my daughter did the same thing when she reached age 11 because both of those children were very musical. With my other children, we did other things like building things and working on genealogy. Those were activities that we did deliberately, mother-daughter and father-son, so that our children could learn how to be good men and good women, and so that they would get adult experiences to prepare them to be more confident in life. People who are anxious are oftentimes people who have not done as many things. They've been too sheltered. So we need to not shelter our children. Give them opportunities to stretch and grow, take up hobbies, and do hard things. Another thing that parents can do to be a leader and to, ironically enough, decrease anxiety is to consistently correct any negative behaviors that need correcting. If your children are not corrected often enough, then they will feel anxious if anyone ever tells them they did anything wrong or if anyone corrects them. They need to know that correction's a normal part of life and that it can feel safe and okay. And if someone doesn't do it with the right tone, it's not going to kill them anyway. So if you are calm and you can learn how to deliberately and consistently correct your child in a way that can bring you closer together, then your child does not have to be afraid of doing things wrong. So many people who develop anxiety also have perfectionism, and it's usually because they don't know how to take criticism, they don't know how to take no answers or consequences. These are key things. Remember those 4 children's books that I showed a little bit earlier? 2 of them, Accepting No Answers and Criticism, the Green Book, and the Blue Book, Accepting Consequences, are vital for decreasing anxiety. So, in fact, really, all 4 of those books are vital for decreasing anxiety. And I know because for years I took treatment children into my home, and 90% of them had high levels of anxiety because of ADHD, OCD, ODD, depression, all kinds of things that they were dealing with. So, teach those 4 basic skills and you will find success, and make sure you correct things when they go wrong so that they get the opportunity to recognize they're not perfect, and that's okay. Our world is struggling with an anxiety epidemic right now. We need to not feed it. We need to give our children the strength and the security that they need in order to make hard choices and to become strong and to step out of their comfort zones. It could take time for some of our children. It will take diligent and consistent effort on our part, but they can do it. They need us to lead out to show them that we know that it's possible to be a self-governed person, to be a person who can follow instructions, to be a person who can give themselves instructions and actually follow through, and thereby launch into adulthood. Our children need us to help them find security, which means they need us to let them do more and to correct them more. I would like to help you more with this. If you would like to learn more about how to teach your children these skills that I've been talking about and how to teach them self-government, then be sure to go to my next video, which is the not so known secret for parenting success. Click on the link. That is a full class. It is a full class that you will get right now that will help you teach your children self-government. So click on the not so known secret for parenting success right now, and I will see you there.